Today we're going to do something that's a little bit different in terms of, we're going to take off out of Charlotte. We're not going to be in any type of departure today. We're just going to show a departure off a 3-6 right. The current flight plan you see in here, we're not going to utilize. Actually, what we're going to do is going to take off, we're going to fly a heading, and then we're going to do a direct intercept to Liberty VOR and Victor 409. So the first thing I want to do here is I want to get the aircraft airborne. I've got it set up for 8,000 feet. Right now, runway heading at 004. My 153 speed is in for my V2. So let's just go ahead and get the aircraft airborne. And after we get airborne and start our way to the east, we'll then start to show you how to make this direct intercept. So we've got the aircraft now accelerating, and we've got ground speed movement off the primary flight display and also on the ND, the nav data display. Again, what's in the FMC, we're not going to worry about it right now. This could happen anytime because you could get airborne and they could change things on you almost immediately. So the things that you have programmed may be a moot point for you. So don't worry about this particular flight plan you see. This is going to be something we're making up as we go along. The whole idea here is to show you how to do a direct intercept. There's our positive rate of climb. Get our gear up. And at 400 feet, we're going to go with center command and heading select. If you notice, we do not have LNAV and VNAV armed. We do not have those armed at all. We're now currently just flying the runway heading. We get our flap retraction going on schedule. Let's go ahead and put the VNAV on so it'll give us some speed protection. And that's what VNAV will do for us. If we look at the VNAV page, what's it going to give us? Obviously the 250 below 10,000 feet, which is what we want to see anyhow. I'm going back to legs right now. We're going to get the 250 protection. The aircraft's holding about 183, 184 in the speed. We're climbing, accelerating up through flaps 5 now. Get those going up. And we're climbing at 8,000. Let's go ahead and continue our climb right now to an altitude of, well, let's make it 7,000. And at the same time, let's now make a right turn to heading of 090. Notice I'm rotating the heading around, the heading bug around to 090, making our way out as we make our way now to the east of Charlotte, and we're climbing up to 17,000 feet. Again, all these fixes that you see here don't mean anything to me now because my newest clearance is going to be something along these lines, and this is what we'll make it today. Eagle 1, make a right turn at heading of 090, intercept Victor 409 to Liberty, then as filed. Okay, so now we've got to set this up. So we've been told where we're going, which we know is Liberty. So we're going to go ahead and type in LIB, which is the 3-letter identifier for Liberty. And we're going to put it up there in line select key 1 left. Okay, give it a second to say, okay, which one do you want? We know it's 13.0 by looking at the map on the L chart should be in front of you in order to verify you have the correct frequency and latitude, longitude, just to ensure that. So if you'll now notice that you've chosen the right one, you'll see Liberty is in line select key 1 left, but also it tells you one other very important aspect. It says we're to intercept Victor 409. Well, Victor 409 is made up of a certain radial. And if we looked at that on the map, you're going to see that the outbound radial from Liberty is 231. We're not going away from the station, we're going to the station. So we need to know the reciprocal of 231. That would be 051 degrees. Okay, so that we're going to do now is we're going to type in 051, and we're going to put it down here where it says intercept course. The boxes at the bottom is where this is going to go. So let's go ahead and type in 051, put it in LSK 6R, okay? And it's asking me to execute, which I will. But now, if you see here also, we have this dashed line. Let me expand out just a few, another tick here in the map, see if we can find Liberty. There's the Liberty VOR. We've been asked to intercept this radial. This is what this is showing us pictorially. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and do that. We'll execute that. We'll get the magenta line. Boom, there it is. Let's clean it up a little bit. Let's clean this up a little bit. I can delete all these other different things that are in there. Let's delete. Execute that. Okay, that looks a lot better. 90-degree heading on the lubber line. Okay, we're still climbing. We're going to intercept this airway now to Liberty. So you should have your L chart in front of you to see what we're doing here, pictorially representing this on the navigational display. The big thing that you got to remember is this. This is gigantic. Is the fact that you must remember to then engage LNAV. If you don't engage LNAV, you're going to blow right through this radial on this heading. The way this is set up is this way. You've told the airplane to fly heading to a particular point on that heading, and intercept Liberty, which is that airway, which is Victor 409, which is comprised of the 231-degree radial from Liberty, but since we're going to Liberty, we've got to put in the reciprocal of 051. So let's go ahead and do that. We've done it already with the entry. I'm going to hit LNAV. I am in heading select, and LNAV is armed on the primary, on the flight mode enunciator, which is exactly what we want to see. VNAV altitude, we've got it in there, 17,000 feet. We're there at level, okay? Airplane is now currently just cruising along here, and as we get closer to this line, you will see the aircraft actually intercept and go to Liberty, which is exactly what we want to do, okay? Let's just watch it. Up, there we go. We got a little bit of waggle here going on now. It's sensing it. That's a normal indication to see. Yeah, looks like we're making that left turn. Here we go for the intercept. So as you can see, we've done nothing. We programmed it. It flew the heading until it intercepted the radio that we wanted, and now has intercepted it, and we're going to Liberty VOR on Victor 409. So we've done that. And now that we're on this, we're going to do an offset. Now, we talk about offsets in terms of what they call the Strategic Lateral Offset Program, or SLOP is what it's called in the field. And that has a lot, that's actually a pretty good acronym, because it is SLOP, as in sloppy, as in loose, maybe not exactly where you want to be per se. It has some room in it to use. So how do we basically create an offset? First thing we got to talk about is an offset available to you in a SID or a STAR? That answer would definitely be no. You could not do an offset in a SID or STAR because of the fact there's other aircraft in that area, and you're all flying a designated flyway. You must fly what is on that SID or that STAR, so you have no room for latitude there. It's a little different story if you're in there weaving around weather. Yeah, you've got some latitude, some wiggle room as we call it. But when it comes to SLOP, no, you cannot do strategic lateral offset in a SID or a STAR. So how do we express this now, okay? If we look at how we're flying here, all right, we're about 15 miles or about 12 miles now away from Liberty. And if I've been told that I would like to offset, they say, would you offset your course to the south? In this case, as we look at our compass, south is to the right, is it not? Here's 90 degrees, 180 to be here, so this would be to the south. So how do we put this offset of 5 miles in there? We must go to the route page. And if you look at the bottom on the right side, LSK6R, you'll see where it says offset. We will then type in R and 5 and put it in LSK6R. And as soon as we do that, you'll see now the map gives us a parallel line that's in a long dash, short dash, long dash form. If we execute that, which we just did, it will now jump to magenta, and the aircraft will make that turn and automatically intercept and fly parallel to your designated course that you've already programmed in the FMC. It's a very nice tool. It's used a lot in transatlantic crossings, trans-Pacific crossings, Gulf of Mexico crossings, areas that are really not covered by radar coverage. It's nice to know that you can go left or right a couple of miles and be out of the direct line of another aircraft heading the opposite direction, just in case there might be an altitude discrepancy or altimeter discrepancy. It's nice to have a little bit of latitude out in that airway, okay? And this is what it's giving us to do. So the lateral offset program is very nice to use, again, for safety, and it can be done, and the aircraft is capable of doing just what you're seeing right now. It has actually made this offset. So what's it doing now? Yeah, we're watching this thing, kind of like, I'm not sure, because I'm over top of the VOR. Yeah, I gotta be out here. I got to be a little bit more to my right. So the airplane continues to turn right now to go out there and intercept that offset. How far does this offset go? Wow, we could just keep following this thing all the way. We're at 160 miles and it still shows me as an offset. So as you can see, this thing's going to follow your route the entire way where you're going up until that point of where? The STAR. Then you can't use it on the STAR into Boston. So right now you see the airplane's going over to intercept the lateral offset 5 miles to the south of your course. The entry again would be R5. R5. And the airplane is intercepting it, so let's just let it do its job in just a moment here and let it do the intercept. Now to get out of an offset, if you will, we need to stay in the route page because we have R5 down here. In order to get out of that, what we're going to put in here is simply a 0. That's fine. I'll hit 0, and I'll enter that. One more thing I think it's important to note, okay? And this is something for you in terms of situational awareness. Situational awareness. I want you to look at your FMC. Look what I have down here on the FMC message box. It tells me I'm in offset. That's a good place to look to make sure that you've indeed got that going on. Okay, so it's telling me in the message on there, there's messages that light up along the FMC. Maybe you've never noticed these little boxes, but that actually does give us good information. So let's go off the offset back to 0, enter here, and go ahead and hit execute. Airplane's gonna go back now on course. Now, the next thing we wanna try here, or show you, is a hold. We're going to do some holding here very shortly. I'm going to utilize Raleigh as our VOR for our hold. Since we're coming up on Raleigh, it's very easy to get a clearance along the lines of, hey, Eagle 1 Heavy, Washington Center, due to traffic saturation, we'd like you to hold at Raleigh VOR. And you can hold right on your course this time. We're not going to ask you to do anything crazy, like southwest, northeast, something like that. We're just going to make our hold nice and simple. First thing you probably want to think about when you hear the word hold, if you're far away from a point such as this for the hold, slow down. Slow down. And why do I say slow down? Nobody likes to hold. Nobody likes to hold. People in the back don't like to see airplanes doing orbits, all right? The fact is, if we can keep it slowed down and avoid that hold, that's the whole idea. That's why we slow down. So we're coming back onto course here now. So let's look at Raleigh to go for a hold. How am I going to do that? Let's go to the hold page, okay? And in this case, you see hold at, and it gives us the boxes. All we're simply going to do is choose our hold point. In this case, Raleigh. Grab Raleigh, RDU, LSK1 left. It goes to the scratch pad, and then put it in those boxes. Automatically, as you can see, it gives us a standard holding pattern at Raleigh on our course. Standard. So all standard. What's standard mean for holding? Right turns. Absolutely. I'm going to execute this, which means now I'm going to now go into that hold. Now I want to modify my hold. So let's go to the hold page, which we're already on. We can modify. Let's say I want to make left turns or non-standard. /L will do that in LSK 3 left. /L. There's nothing done here, right? Hit the execute button. What happens? Flips over. So now I got left turns. So go back to right turns, /R. LSK 3 left again. Hit the right side. Execute, boom. Airplane's like, make up my mind. I want you in right turns. Also in airline world, we don't do the 1 minute, 1.5 minute scene. We don't do those things. We're moving too fast in order for us to be thinking about a time, turn, tune, throttle, talk, if you will. So we know where we're going. We're going to say, let's go with 10-mile legs, which is normal. I would simply type in 10 and put that in LSK 5 left. And you'll see 10 come up, 0.0. I will execute that. Once I do, the airplane knows it's going to be 10 miles legs, and it's going to fly that racetrack as long as I tell it to do so. Other things you see here would be, such as the best speed is showing at 245. The speed and target altitude tells me 304 at flight level 22,700. Again, if there's small values like you see here, that's predictive. Doesn't mean it's going to do it, all right? So now we're coming up on the hold. Is a hold a mandatory reporting point for ATC? Yes, it is. You must tell them I'm entering the hold at Raleigh. And a lot of people don't bother doing that, but that is good IFR training. In this case, Washington Center, Eagle 1 entering the hold at Raleigh. And they'll say, very good, thank you, sir. Appreciate the call. And then sometimes they will issue you the EFC, or expect further clearance. You can actually put that in right up here on the FMC itself. I'm not going to do that. This is just a demonstrative purposes today. When we actually do the FMC evaluation, I'm going to ask you how to make an input to show me how you make a hold. Notice now we're coming over top of Raleigh. As we come over Raleigh, the aircraft is going to enter this hold. And there it is. It's now entering the hold. See it in the turn. We know that's all good. So now the aircraft is in the hold. Let's go back to the hold page. Once you enter the hold, it gives you now another option. And that option is to exit the hold. Okay? To exit the hold. So when you're flying along up there and air traffic says to you, oh, our traffic's cleared out, Eagle 1, you can exit the hold. simply push LSK-6R, and as soon as you do, you're going to see exit armed. Boom, there it is. Exit is now armed. Notice the execute light lights up, and push execute, and the airplane will then go right back around, make a 360 if you will, and it'll continue on to its next point in the flight plan, which is exactly what we want it to do. Okay, let's continue our climb up to flight level 350. Rotate up the MCP to 350, hit an altitude intervention, and start this aircraft climbing. Same thing I'm going to do right now is go back to my my VNAV page, and I'm going to go ahead my econ speed and execute my econ speed, and off we go to the races 304 again is what we want. The airplane's going to accelerate. At the same time, it's going to start to climb, which it has done. So now we can get this aircraft positioned, because the next thing we want to show everybody is we want to show you guys how to do some altitude changes within the FMC itself. All right, what we're going to do now is we're going to show you how to do a descent by utilizing vertical speed. But what we've got to figure out is, we're going to cross Lisa at an altitude. In this case, I want to cross 18,000 feet. That's 10,000 feet of altitude loss. But I want to utilize vert speed for that. So let's look at it from the terms of 2,000 feet per minute. 10,000 at 2,000 feet per minute means it's going to take me 5 minutes. How fast am I going across the ground? Right here, Raspberry's telling me 492. 492 divided by 60 seconds in a minute. We're looking at about 8 miles a minute. 8 times 6 is 48, right? So we're close to that. So it'll be 8 miles a minute times 5 minutes is 40 miles. 40 miles out, I'm going to give myself a couple of miles, like 45 miles out. I'm going to start down so I make this restriction at Lisa. So let's see, how far away am I now? 38 and 8, that's 46, right? Time to start down. So let's start this thing down. Vert speed, I got to get this thing down to 18,000 feet. Let's just start this thing down at 2,000 feet per minute. Let me get this thing back to 18,000 feet. The idea now, is it going to do it on its own? Vert speed is engaged. 2,000 feet per minute, 18,000 on the altitude. I'm out of 28, going 2,000 feet per minute. My idea here is I want to make this restriction, okay, at 18,000 feet. If I look at my level off line, look where I'm at. I'm almost on top of it, because real quick math in my head tells me, hey, 2,000 feet per minute, I'm covering 40 miles. I gave it a little bit of fudge room in there, so I said 45. Actually, we were about 45 when we started down instead of 40. But I'd rather be there before than after. It'll not precipitate a phone call to center, right? That's the whole idea here. So again, 2,000 feet per minute, 18,000 feet. We are in vert speed. Notice that VNAV is off. Notice what speed we're at in the Mach indicated airspeed, 291. 291, still looking at a 474 ground speed. We're moving right along. We're going to be just fine. Should be just fine. Notice this level offline again. This is where we were looking at. We're real close to Lisa where we want to be. I'm happy with where this is. I'd rather be before it than either on top of it or after. In many cases, it's going to be a restriction such as cross this point at this altitude and at this speed. Notice I'm coming up now on the vert speed to 500 feet per minute. Notice I've reduced that vert speed to 500 feet per minute. This is in order for the folks in the back to not get that heavy or positive G effect as you come out from 2,000 feet per minute to level off. Because if you go from 2,000 feet per minute to nothing, you're going to feel it. That's why they tell you within the last 1,000 feet of an altitude to reduce your rate of descent or rate of climb to 500 feet per minute so that your level off is nice and easy. If you'll happen to notice, look what that has done to my level off point. It puts me right on top of Lisa, right at 18,000 feet. Exactly what I wanted to do. I'm going to have it here within 400 feet. I feel pretty good about the whole thing right now. That is how you do a vertical speed descent in the airline world, because in some cases, you may have to do it that way. Just how it works. Is 100 feet acceptable? Yes, it is. Should not be an issue at all. 18,000 feet, I'm at Lisa. That's it, we've done it. That concludes today's lesson.